we'll be reviewing a show called Hotboxin with Mike Tyson.
Ooh.
This is a suggestion. he's surprised by that. This is a suggestion from Hughezy. We have both listened to it separately. We have not discussed it with each other beforehand. Let's get into it. This is a show hosted by Sebastian Joseph Day and Mike Tyson. And I have to say, this is the least professional podcast by a celebrity I've ever heard. And that's saying something.
Yeah, the thing about this show, which I've never mentioned before, that I didn't enjoy
it. Fun.
And Tyson's rape victim didn't have it as bad as having to listen to this shit. Here's the thing about Mike Tyson. He's been very open about the fact that he's a so-called recovered drug addict and alcoholic.
Yeah.
But in the middle of these shows, he smokes fucking Bob Marley levels of marijuana and takes mushrooms, so he's hallucinating. Also, what makes it really bad is his guests are shitting themselves terrified because the greatest fighter of all time is sitting right there and he's hallucinating horns coming out of your head. Also, he's a rapist.
Since you said that, I have a clip that I want to play. I listened to the episode where Dave Portnoy was his guest, and Dave Portnoy is always fun to listen to. And this is specifically what you're talking about.
And I'm going to be honest, I got a text, if we're just saying it, I got a text so I had to take a helicopter to get here. I got a text on the helicopter like, Mike may not be here. He's in a mood. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? That's the last thing you want to hear going, Mike Tyson, he's going to be in a mood. I'm like, holy shit.
My wife got names for me. She Mike, Ike, and Bike. What's my name, baby?
So Portnoy on his way to do this show is like, it might not happen today. He's in a mood. It's like, what? I don't want to talk to this guy who's in a mood. And then Mike Tyson goes, yeah, sometimes my wife calls me Ike. Oh, I know what that means.
Yeah, I get it.
That's not good. That's not a good thing.
Because he's black. But
yeah, because he's Ike Turner. He's
great
right.
guitarist.
Yeah, he plays the guitar and co-writes stuff because he toured the Rolling Stones. But
sure,
as of course, when WATP starts a show, you have a new intro prepared every time. Really sets the mood. Really sets the excitement.
Well, just figure that out.
Yeah. Well, if you go to clip 1,
yeah.
That I sent you, Mike Tyson interviewed his therapist called Shawno. And this is the intro that's going to set the mood to get you pumped up.
My mom had to support 3 kids, my sister and my brother. And, she moved us to a funky place. And I was there. And then about 6 months into that, I was kidnapped. And I was used for child pornography. And I was tortured. And the people put a gun in my head, and they threatened to kill my brother and my sister if I ever told anybody. And at the time, I was the 4th best long-distance run in the country. My dream was to follow Steve Prefontaine to Oregon. I never ran again. Became a street prostitute, mostly men, sometimes women. Became a full-blown junkie by the time I was 14, and then out of prison a couple times. And here we are.
Wow, that's how the show starts off, huh?
That's how it starts off.
And that's the guy who's going to help Mike Tyson with his mental problems?
That's his therapist.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. That's generally the tone of every episode. There's an episode that he did with Bill Burr. It was really fascinating. They spoke about how cancel culture was bad. It was a groundbreaking topic that I'm so glad I heard.
Finally, someone addressed that.
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, it is, but isn't it? You can't say what you used to. You can't get away with rapes. It's horrific.
You get canceled just for raping a girl these days. It's crazy.
Yes. So when Tyson started the podcast, initially he had this giant fucking ex-football player guy with him. For whatever reason, he got fired. He was white. He has since been replaced by another gentleman that's black. Not that matters. I don't know why you're laughing. And he is fucking horrific in that he doesn't listen to what the guest has just said. Clip 2, it's from an interview that Mike Tyson did with fellow rapist Ric Flair. I meant the athlete Ric Flair. And Ric Flair's telling this story about how his son died maybe a decade ago at a very young age. And really hear how the co-host immediately doesn't give 2 fucks.
Tell me, how many children do you have?
I had 4.
4 boys,
Lost one.
girls?
2 boys and 2 girls. I lost one in 2013, heroin.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that.
So let's talk about The Undertaker. He'll be the 4th person to be inducted in the WWE. How do you feel about that?
I hope that's a bad edit, because otherwise, give that a minute.
Speaking of death, the dead man's having a match with Hulk Hogan. Your son's dead. Do you think he'll rise from the dead? You know,
I have an example of this, Adam, where I would have thought that they'd have Sebastian on because Mike Tyson can't talk very well. And you need at least one person on the show, you know, as Dennis Rodman has proven. You need at least one person who can talk. But no, right out of the gate, they're talking to Dave Portnoy about his favorite basketball team. And this is how Sebastian pronounces that.
Because they said you're a troublemaker, man. This guy's...
Who said that? I don't see that on that
She
sheet.
said that.
Troublemaker. It's all point of view, I guess.
So let's talk about these Celtics first.
Yeah, I'm a big Celtics fan.
How you feeling right now?
Let's talk about these Celtics. Who pronounces
Celtics?
that word Celtics? So this is an example of Dave Portnoy talking about how he tried to get his picture with Gucci Mane when he went to this basketball game. Because his girlfriend is a big fan of Gucci Mane. So he thought, oh, my girlfriend likes this guy. I don't know who he is, but whatever. I'll get my photo taken with him. And listen to Tyson not understanding this at all.
My girlfriend's a gigantic Gucci Mane fan. I wouldn't know Gucci Mane if he's walking down the street
How do
and
you not
pass.
know who
Not a
Gucci
Gucci
Mane
Mane guy.
is? Come
I'm not a Gucci Mane. I'm not a rap
Ask your
guy.
girlfriend about Gucci Mane.
What's that?
Your girlfriend knows Gucci Mane.
She was a big fan.
The way Mike was saying, is like, yeah, ask your girlfriend about him. He's like, yeah, no, I know. She knows who he is. She's a fan of his.
she brought it up.
Ask her. Ask her about it. Yeah, no, she's the one who told me about the guy. Now I know. So then,
where's the girlfriend? Is she here? Is she alone?
So then Dave explains the way he met his girlfriend was through Instagram by sliding into her DMs. And Mike does not know what that means at all. So he accuses Dave of being a pervert, which may or may not be true. But the way he does this is hilarious. And Dave has to explain to him that that's not what it is.
Slide in the DMs?
No, he's not doing
How's that perfect?
So wait, okay.
That ain't perfect.
Listen, time slides into her DM. What must be the slides come from, dude?
Well, that's just Instagram. Be like, hey, what's up? That's like dating. There's nothing
That's what
perv
they do
about
now.
that.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
dating online?
No, I'm dating her in real life.
So-
she's like a real person. She's a human. She's my girlfriend.
It's on the app, and what you do is you're able to message people. So
Are you not on Instagram at all, Mike?
Well, listen, if I am, I don't. Only thing I know how to do is turn it on. And
Yeah. Let me say this loud and clear. Nothing pervy about sliding into a girl's DMs. I don't do that a ton, but no, that's not weird. Everybody does that.
Mike has no idea what kind of slides were you using.
Yeah.
No, I was sliding into her DMs. That's not.
It sounds like they exhumed Red Fox.
Yeah, it does.
That is happened. Yeah.
They're all so terrified of him that people never want to say anything
Right.
to risk triggering this beast. I wasn't going to call him a savage. This wild macho man. But like if you go to, I'll give you an example. Of clip 4. This shows, as you mentioned, how Tyson isn't really aware of the world. Somebody mentions the word Aerosmith, which then triggers Mike Tyson to start singing his favorite Aerosmith song.
Oh, good. Can't wait to find out what this is.
You know, I go with Mike to Colorado, and it's like an Aerosmith concert. We went to Colorado for Tyson 2.0. Mm-hmm. And
let me guess, it's I Can't Get No Satisfaction. That's going to be my guess, his favorite Aerosmith song. Let's see.
There's probably some rapier.
People were camping overnight,
Yeah.
and it's just, and then people coming with telling stories. And I've seen both of them, I think, just bring back a lot of memories.
Hey, baby, gonna make you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you move.
I went with the Stones. I should have known Zeppelin.
Yeah, that was pretty close, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. you know Aerosmith? Fuck yeah, I do. There's a lady who swears.
Yeah. Sweet child of mine.
It's the best.
But the thing is, the greatest part about that is that episode, the Ric Flair episode, is on YouTube. Well, they're all on YouTube. But when he does that, and when you see him gradually getting more and more high, you can just see the tension in the room because it's like he's going to explode. and then now he's going to explode, and he could kill me, and he's in workout gear. And like that's what makes it, like, on paper, it seems like a great idea. Yeah, I'll get in the room and Mike Tyson will do a podcast. And you're like, oh shit, that's Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So,
there's that guy with the short fuse who's 3 times my size and knows how to throw a punch. Oh, neat. This is gonna go well.
Yeah, the greatest heavyweight of all time just sang the wrong song. Hold on while I call him a big dumb retard.
No, I think Wikipedia actually changed their page that day, and they said, no, this is now an Aerosmith song. No one wants to fuck with Mike Tyson. The Aerosmith Greatest Hits album got changed after that.
Zed Leplin's a fantastic hip-hop act.
Well, here's another example of what you're talking about. Dave Portnoy's talking about this female UFC fighter.
So he's got a partner in crime, Molly the Meatball.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tell me about Molly, Meatball Molly.
Molly the Meatball. Whoa, tell me about Molly Meatball Molly. That's not what he said. So then he goes on and tries to explain Molly Meatball. And for some reason, Tyson just triggers something else in his mind that no one else knows what he's talking about.
So that's his training partner, who's also electric on the microphone. She won her last knockout.
Remember when they got this guy named Bullet, too? Remember when
Who's Bullet?
Tank was fighting somebody and there was some big black guy named Bullet?
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about.
I never heard of him before, but I missed they got these bullets and stuff.
They got the nicknames, all of it. It's building. So she had an unbelievable knockout. Her last fight was like a spinning elbow.
And Portnoy's amazing. He goes, yeah, everyone has nicknames. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is, what about Bullet? They're like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a good point, World's Greatest Fighter. But of course, speaking of MMA, and you mentioned Gollum turning up.
Yeah.
This is kind of a longer-ish clip, but they had a... Do you watch UFC?
I don't.
Well, just recently there was a lady who fought Amanda Nunes and lost. I can't remember her name, Jeanette or something. She came into the room.
Wait, no, I think I know who it was. It was Molly Meatball Molly is who you're thinking of. Yeah.
Meatball, she's a fan of Dead Leplin. And she came into the room to talk to Tyson and Ric Flair. She must have been fucking terrified due to, So Gollum turns up at some point during this to talk MMA.
What do you think about Charlotte and wrestling?
I think she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. And I'm not saying it because she's my daughter. Mm-hmm. I've actually heard that a couple of times a day from just people that have seen her.
We're gonna see her fight too.
Yeah, she's fighting on Tuesday. She's fighting Ronda Rousey, and we were talking with Juliana earlier. But what's the crossover? Rick, what do you think the crossover is like from the UFC to the WWE? Because we've seen Brock Lesnar go back and forth. Mm-hmm. We've seen Ronda come in. We've seen DM Punk go to the UFC and get his ass whooped. Like, what's your thoughts on all?
I think it's great, but once again, I was talking with someone today that's thinking about doing it. It's a crossover is great if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
I mean, Brock pulled it off. Mm-hmm. Ronda did, but there's a couple of people that didn't. Yeah, so without mentioning names.
How did Brock Lesnar feel? Look at him.
He's doing great. Yeah. But you know what it is? He's one of the best athletes I've ever met in my life. Yeah. He's got a 38-inch vertical jump at 280 pounds.
Wow.
He stands flat-footed and jumps on the apron of the ring. And my joke was, I don't want to be the wrestler in the ring that's wrestling him when he misses that jump and it falls off the apron. He's got a short fuse. But, I mean, Ronda's crushed it, too, so...
Yeah.
It's a different mindset. I think, the first time Brock didn't like the traveling. He still doesn't, so he doesn't work full-time. Mm-hmm. The traveling is tough, and no matter how tough you are in your heart and in your head, traveling every day is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Beating it through the airports, catching the last flight.
I remember that. The wrestling is fake, but the check is real.
Yeah.
The check is real, huh?
Yeah.
Ric Flair,
fucking ponderous, man.
Ric Flair sounds young and spry compared to Mike Tyson. And by the way, you don't tell Ric Flair wrestling is fake. You don't say that to Ric Flair. I guess he could say that. I wouldn't. That's for damn sure.
The thing about this Ric Flair episode that was particularly bad is that Tyson was, by his standards, extremely high. And at one point, he just stopped speaking. So the co-host, who obviously didn't really follow wrestling or know Ric Flair, started asking him the most generic possible questions. And if you go to clip 3, I was able to shorten this down to just over a minute and a half. If I didn't, this clip would be 26 minutes long.
Okay. Thank you for doing this service for us.
Rick, your persona, you're an icon. Like, rappers, art, like everywhere, other fighters, they take your swag, they use your swag. How does that feel, like, just knowing that you've been so influential to generation of people?
That's a good question. I get asked a lot.
They can't do it.
But you know what? It's for people that didn't follow me. Like
my new partner, an agent/partner, good partners, a couple deals. Her family knew a lot about wrestling, but I got to play this.
I assume it's going very fast at this point.
And this was all him saying.
It's just Ric Flair.
Yeah, it feels good. And Tyson just staring at him like with this giant joint, and he's like looking at his hand glowing.
Yeah, doesn't know where he is. Outdoor command hooks. We're going ludicrous speed. Yes, perfect. So that was all just Ric Flair answering a nothing question about how rappers know who he is?
Yeah, basically the answer to the question is it feels good to be remembered, but he gave it a 26-minute answer. Old fuck.
Well, it's funny you're calling out Sebastian for being a bad co-host because I have an example of that. I assume he's on there because Mike Tyson is out of it and probably high. So you need someone who can probably keep the show moving. Well, 35 minutes into the episode, which is probably 25 minutes into the conversation because there's so many ads on this show. It is filled with advertising. He says this to Dave Portnoy.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, Dave, shit. I ain't got nothing else to say. We really appreciate you coming.
He's a very amazing guy.
Car wash. I like it.
I mean, is there anything else you'd like to ask Mike? You say you were Mike Tyson. Is there any other questions you'd like to ask?
I was going to ask him.
He's the guest on your show. Is there anything else you want to ask him? No, you're supposed to ask me stuff.
Can I ask you a real question?
Real ass questions. Don't be afraid. This is real.
I don't want to. But wait. What was the 3 names? I don't want to turn them into one of the other names. If I ask if I ask a question, he goes from Mike to like Ike. Yeah, and then I'm in trouble. But all right.
I like that Dave Portnoy was like, I'll ask him a question, but is it going to piss him off? Because in that case, I'm out.
Yeah, but on the episode I listened to, and I didn't clip this one where they cut Flair off to do a Mike Tyson quiz.
Yeah.
And to see what questions that Rick could remember, and he couldn't remember, they asked Tyson, he's like, I have no memory of such event.
Why do they put the guests on the spot to know who the interviewer is? The interviewer is supposed to know the interviewee. It's not the other way around.
But the other thing is that
if I went on Hughezy's show, I've been on Hughezy's show, 3 or 4 times now?
5.
5 times. If I were to come on your show and you say, what's the favorite episode of mine? Which was your favorite? Who do you think's been the best guest on my show? I would have to immediately make up a story about watching your show and liking it. And that puts someone on the spot that's not polite or appropriate. I don't like that they do that.
Can we hear Mike Tyson sing Aerosmith again?
Yeah, you got that one, producer Chris?
Oh, sorry.
All right, I guess not. All right, so I want to talk about the ad reads that are going on in this show because they are hilarious. Now, what they do is they try to tag team, since we're talking about wrestling, they tag team the ad reads because neither of them can talk very well. So it's like, all right, well, if we get both of them doing the copy, maybe that'll work.
As someone who loves big cats, I'm all about money line, baby.
They help the hardworking trying to make a change in their life.
All you hustlers out there putting in all that time, I see you.
Moneyline gives you entertaining content.
So they gave the important words to Sebastian, thankfully. Yes. But I wrote down, this is an ad for Moneyline. It's Money Lion. Oh. But the way that Mike pronounces it, I had no idea. Moneyline, baby. Yeah. Wait, what? What are you talking about? And then this is, I think, ad-libbed a little bit from the copy here.
Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because I hated taking pills and vitamins and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great.
It doesn't taste fucking super healthy or anything, but it's got a mild feeling when it goes down. I look forward to taking it every morning.
Yeah, this fucking advertises products be like fucking great and shit. You know, this fucking shit don't taste like healthy or nothing, but it's pretty fucking good.
This is why Dennis Rodman has to go on this show.
Well, I have news for you in a minute. And then at the end of that ad read, listen to Mike Tyson's just heavy breathing.
Yeah.
He just sounds unhealthy. This is an ad for a supplement. And listen to this.
Again, that's athleticgreens.com/hotboxing to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
It sounds like someone put a mic inside Adam's pants. It's not healthy sounding. It sounds bad.
No, but that's basically what that show is. It's you get a guy in at the start of the show who starts smoking weed.
Yeah.
But then by the end of the show, it's usually an hour and a half long. He's completely fucked. He's on drugs and he's shutting down, and he starts becoming loopy, and you can almost see the guests want to get the fuck out of there. There was a time he interviewed we call the guy Jeremy Piven.
Yeah.
Right, hilarious guy.
Great guy.
So many times.
Yeah, great podcast he has too.
Yeah, and for some reason,
how you living, Jay Piven? Great name.
Yeah. I have a great joke for you all. And for some reason, Piven brought Chuck Zito from the Hells Angels in with him.
Sure.
And he just, I think, just for protection, in case Mike decided to fucking have sex with his wig or whatever. But
now, can we talk about real quick the guests that Mike Tyson has on his show? I think at this point we've established that neither Mike nor the co-host can talk or form a thought. He has had on, and this is just recently, David Spade, Bill Maher, Rosie Perez, Steve-O, well, I guess that one makes a little bit more sense, Ric Flair, Kenan Thompson, Joe Rogan, the biggest podcaster in the world, has been on this show recently. Kevin Hart, one of the biggest celebrities in the world, has been on this show. He is getting A-list celebrities coming on this show, listening to him talk nonsense. I think it's the intimidation factor, like you were talking about. Like, you don't say no to Tyson. You might run into him someday.
Yeah, I think that this podcast is the typical. I think it's the general problem with the LA-based podcasts.
Yeah.
In that all they need is a couple of $1,000 to spend so they can set up a studio, and then they'll all do each other's shows. And it's non-stop, and every fucking interview is the same on every show. There's no good podcast from the East Coast?
This is the East Coast. They're in New Jersey when they're doing this show.
Are they in New Jersey for Tyson?
I thought Tyson lived in Vegas, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's just the movie that I saw that made me think that. Yeah. But I thought legitimately he lived in Vegas. Apparently this show is done in New Jersey.
Well, then
from what
fuck
I can tell.
me.
From what I can tell. Because they were talking about Dave Portnoy. Apparently, Dave Portnoy does these pizza reviews, and Mike Tyson doesn't understand this at all.
Speaking of eating, your pizza reviews.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people know me.
You sell pizza?
I eat it.
Mike goes, you sell pizza? This is after Dave explained that he started a multi-million-dollar company and then sold it, and he's still the president, and he's telling him all this stuff about how he got his humble beginnings up to like this huge success. He's like, do you sell pizza? I'm not the Noid. No, I'm Dave Portnoy. What do you mean?
Mike doesn't know much about any food that he can't pronounce. Can we hear him say pizza again?
No, I already pulled it off the board. Sorry.
Oh,
do you have an impression of it, maybe?
You ever rape a pizza?
I don't think that's what he said. I think he said
that not what he said?
I think he said Sal. So the reason why I say it's New Jersey is because they ask him, what's the best pizza here in Jersey City? And then Dave Portnoy goes, oh, I've heard it's this place or that place. We're going to go after the show and try to figure it out and see what's going on. So I played for you that clip where they go, well, we're out of questions. You want to ask the champ a question? So Dave comes up with a question for him, and I love Mike Tyson's answer to this.
What do you think of the heavyweight division now?
I think it's a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money. Once they start fighting each other, they should just all fight each other.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what boxing business is all about. People fighting each other and everybody making a lot of money. The two most exciting fighters should always fight each other.
What do you think of the heavyweight division these days, Mike? I think everyone should fight everyone and make a shit ton of money. Yeah, all right.
So true. So true.
I don't think he's following boxing very closely. based on that answer.
But he makes a good point though. Like, do you know how hard it is for a boxer to make money if you don't fight another boxer?
That's true. You do have to fight another boxer in order to get a payday. So he's got that down.
Although you love advice by experts, don't you,
yes.
Kevin?
That's a good joke.
It still makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Fun.
Yeah.
So he had that MMA woman on, or whatever her name was, the one that fought Amanda Nunes, and this was a big rematch coming up for her, and of course Tyson had that legendary rematch with Evander Holyfield where he bit his ear off.
Yeah, I think that was the first fight, but yeah.
And then there was that legendary rematch that he had with Frank Bruno where he fucking blinded him. He beat the living shit out of him. So this is Mike Tyson at the end of an episode. He's fucking on drugs. He's like Artie Lang in the later days of his satellite Stern days.
Yeah, he's like Artie Lang at 8:30 in the morning. He's wasted.
Yeah. So this is this completely stone cold sober, trained around the clock MMA fighter asking a hallucinating stoned 60-year-old psychopath for rematch advice at clip 8.
So let me ask you, experience-wise, rematches. Obviously you've had rematches in your career. How did they go the second time?
The way you want them to go.
Okay. I like that.
You want them to go.
That's right.
Whatever you think about yourself, you're right.
That's right.
You think you're a dickhead, you think you're a beautiful person, you're right.
Yeah. Totally.
Mike, that's not the right answer to this specific question. Did you win or lose? Whatever you think is right. No, that's not true. Did you win or did you lose? There was probably judges there. People had bets on it. You can't just come up afterwards and be like, well, the judges said I lost, but in my mind, I won. And Vegas is like, fuck. We got to pay out everyone who said Tyson was going to win this match.
Yeah, and ironically, she did end up losing to Amanda Nunes. So thanks very much, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Mike Tyson.
All you got to do is want to win the fight. You're going to win fight. It's not hard.
Oh, we were talking about this earlier, but again, putting your guest on the spot is a very awkward thing to do.
What was your favorite? So obviously, growing up, you know Mike's
Obviously, I'm a big boxing
icon.
guy. Yeah.
What's your favorite memory of Mike?
What's your favorite memory of Mike is the question they asked Dave Portnoy. I don't know, when he bit another boxer's ear off in the ring, that was pretty cool.
I like this one right now where he's not pummeling me.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I would have been like, aren't I the guest here? Jesus. That's not the question you ask. I can tell you about the company I started or the show that I'm on or any number of things.
But there's a clip, and obviously I didn't get this one for you, but one where he was interviewing, he was speaking with Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart, and it starts off on a very awkward note where Kevin Hart's saying, he's like, hey, Mike, you look great. You're in great shape still. The arms looking big, you're looking strong. And Tyson just goes, why are you saying this to me? and Kevin Hart's like, I didn't say anything.
Yeah, like, oh, did I say the wrong thing? Whoops. All right, so I want to get into a fun part of this show because we started this episode of WATP with Hughezy going, this is going to suck, everyone's going to hate it. This is great. This is fun. Dave Portnoy is a fun guest. He's a good get to get on here when you have him with Mike Tyson. So Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, and Dave Portnoy have a beef with each other because Portnoy is not happy about Deflategate, this whole thing where Brady got into trouble, was suspended by the NFL for the pressure of the football. I'm not going to get into it too much beyond that. But listen to the level of contribution coming from Mike Tyson during this conversation.
Before we even continue this, let's talk about Roger Goodell.
Yeah, so he's another.
What's Roger doing, man? I thought he wasn't around no more.
NFL commissioner Roger, he sucks.
Wait, why'd you get kicked out of the Super Bowl? What's going on? I heard you got kicked.
Tell him about sucking.
Roger Goodell sucks. Everyone knows that. So.
Tell him about sucking.
Who's Roger Goodell? Dude, Roger Goodell sucks. So tell him about sucking. You go, girl. Like, what? What are you talking about? And Dave is amazing because he just sits there and he goes, yeah, everyone knows Roger Goodell sucks. I got it from here. So then he goes on to tell this story about how he handcuffed himself to a couple other guys at NFL headquarters in order to get a meeting with Roger Goodell, and then they talk about going to jail for that.
So myself, 3 other guys handcuffed ourselves to each other in NFL headquarters, demanding to talk to Goodell, and we went to jail. We spent the night in jail.
I also heard y'all had false credentials or something like that.
That was for media Super Bowl day. That was way after the fact. That was like 5 years later. We went to media day, which you were in the Super Bowl. You can dress as a trash can. Media day is a circus. Anybody can go to media day. Well, they won't let us in, so we snuck in.
Okay.
Got kicked out. Then I went to the Super Bowl. And NFL security dragged me out in handcuffs. And
Why? Come on.
Yeah.
And you wore
You in these fucking handcuffs.
I'm just confused. So you were legit sitting down in the Super Bowl watching it.
Halftime, Super Bowl, paid for my seats.
What's with you in the handcuffs? Is it a sexual fetish or something? You're not following the story at all, Mike.
It has to do with DMs.
Yeah, I was sliding into handcuffs.
It's one of those shows, like it's one of those podcasts that's so bad that it makes it great.
Yeah, honestly, this episode, I was surprised the way you set this one up. Because this episode I found highly entertaining. So then Dave Portnoy. Now, keep in mind, they tried to end this show at 35 minutes in. We're now 60 minutes into the show because all of a sudden they're like getting rolling again with the conversation. That's what I mean. The least professional podcast with a celebrity on it I've ever heard in my life. There was a 32-second pause between the commercial and coming back from the break. Like, things are just so easy to clean up and post that they just don't bother with. The levels are all over the place. There's no compression. All right, I'm going too far with this. My point is, this is a great story from Dave Portnoy.
There's a video going viral of him wiping a booger on a girl, but I don't want to say that. It's going viral right now.
All right, I don't know if you guys know about this, but he hates Roger Goodell, and he brings up this video that I'm going to play for you right now of Roger Goodell wiping a booger on a disabled girl.
Jesus.
Donations to make sure that not only do they
Watch that one again. Now notice this girl only has one leg. This is a little girl with one leg. They're walking away from the podium after a draft pick. Roger Goodell has his fingers up to his nose and then wipes his hand on the back of her hair.
donations to make sure that not only do the kids.
That's how you do it.
That's the way to go. So then they play that video for Mike Tyson, and this is Mike's response, and this is my favorite part of the show right here.
Wait, Mike is fucking kid. He's dirty.
I told you. I told you. I don't make stuff up. Watch. Wiped it right on this girl. And she's got one leg, by the way. Handicap kid. It's a handicap.
Dirty. What's his name again?
Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell. That's some dirty shit, man.
Cut that. Send that out.
I can't say nothing. He's my boss.
Yeah, hey, but anybody send that out.
But I will say this. Okay, so this is your moment.
Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, it's nasties. That says everything you need to know about the guy.
Is that really come on, that shit is just unbelievable. Look, let's go back. Is that really
Yeah, I can watch that on repeat.
He said he wiped a booger on somebody.
Yeah, people like, you're probably bullshit. No, it's right there, black and white. And she's handicapped. One leg, by the way, this girl.
Oh, look.
Yeah, wiped it right on her.
Thanks for the recap. That's great.
Very well done.
So it's weird that the abuse of a woman would entertain Mike Tyson.
Yeah, go figure.
Who are these podcasts? WA